Imagine two nations, seemingly unlikely combatants, suddenly locked in a fierce diplomatic conflict. This is the reality of the India-Canada clash that has taken center stage in the global arena. In recent days, the relationship between India and Canada has drastically shifted, with the expulsion of diplomats from both sides marking a new low in their diplomatic relations. This display of hostility between the two nations stems from a complex issue that has taken a tragic turn: the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh separatist leader, was a key figure in the Khalistan movement, advocating for a separate Sikh homeland in Punjab. His assassination in June has sparked a fierce accusation from Canada, claiming India's involvement in the killing. Canada's accusation is not taken lightly by India. The Indian government has dismissed these allegations, urging Canada not to meddle in its internal affairs, but to focus instead on cracking down on anti-India groups operating within Canadian territory. In a further escalation, India has retaliated by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat, citing concerns over Canadian interference in its internal matters. This diplomatic row revolves around the Khalistan movement. The movement, which began as an armed rebellion for a separate Sikh homeland in the late 80s, has been a point of contention between India and those who shelter Khalistani activists, Canada being one such nation. The Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has called any foreign government involvement in Nijjar's assassination an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. This strong statement from the Canadian leadership has added fuel to the fire, escalating tensions further. With accusations flying and diplomats being expelled, the tension is palpable, but what's the backstory here? To fully understand the gravity of this situation, we must delve into the historical and political context that has led to this diplomatic row. To fully comprehend this conflict, we must journey back to the origins of the Khalistan movement, a drive for a separate Sikh homeland in Punjab. The Khalistan movement was born in the fiery crucible of the late 1980s, a time of political turmoil and social unrest. Its roots are steeped in the rich and complex history of the Sikhs, a religious minority in India who have long yearned for a place of their own, a place where they could freely practice their faith and govern themselves. The movement was initially a peaceful one, a democratic appeal for recognition and rights. But as the years wore on and the pleas for peaceful resolution fell on deaf ears, it began to take on a more militant form. The late 80s saw the rise of armed rebellion, a desperate and drastic measure taken by those who felt they had no other recourse. The Indian government, in response, launched a widespread crackdown to suppress the rebellion, leading to a period of intense conflict and violence. This era left deep scars on the Sikh community, both within India and abroad, and further fueled the demand for a separate Sikh state. Fast forward to today, and the Khalistan movement is far from a forgotten chapter in history. Its influence has spread beyond the borders of India, finding resonance among the Sikh diaspora worldwide. The movement has evolved, adapting to the changing political landscape, but the essence of its demand remains the same: a sovereign Sikh state, Khalistan. In Canada, home to a sizable Sikh population, the Khalistan movement has found a stronghold. Voices in support of Khalistan, such as that of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, have emerged from within this diaspora, causing ripples that have reached the highest echelons of political power. The Khalistan movement, born out of a demand for independence, has now become a significant player in international politics. At the heart of this conflict lies one man, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh separatist leader whose death has ignited a diplomatic firestorm. Hardeep Singh Nijjar was not just a man, but a symbol of a movement. A movement for a separate Sikh homeland in Punjab, known as the Khalistan movement. Nijjar was a staunch advocate for this cause, a beacon of hope for those who believed in the vision of a separate Sikh state. His voice echoed the sentiments of many Sikhs who felt marginalized and underrepresented in India. Born and raised in Punjab, Nijjar had witnessed the struggles and hardships of his community firsthand. This fueled his fervor and commitment to the Khalistan movement. His speeches were charged with passion, his words resonating with thousands who believed in the same cause. However, his advocacy was not without controversy. His stance on Sikh separatism put him at odds with the Indian government, which viewed the Khalistan movement as a threat to its sovereignty. Accusations of fostering anti-India sentiments followed Nijjar throughout his life, further escalating tensions between India and Canada, where he resided. The circumstances surrounding his assassination remain shrouded in mystery. In June, Nijjar was shot dead. His loss sent shockwaves through the Khalistan movement and the Sikh community worldwide. His death was mourned by many but also marked the beginning of a diplomatic row between India and Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called any foreign government involvement in the killing an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. India, however, responded by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat, accusing Canada of interfering in its internal matters. This tit-for-tat expulsion of diplomats has further strained relations between the two countries. Nijjar's death was not just a loss for the Khalistan movement, but a spark that ignited a diplomatic war. His life and his death have become symbols of a larger struggle, a struggle for identity, sovereignty, and self-determination. In the aftermath of Nijjar's death, accusations have been hurled, leading to diplomatic expulsions and escalating tensions. A storm of controversy has been brewing between Ottawa and New Delhi, with both nations locked in a heated exchange of accusations and counter-accusations. Canada has pointed the finger at India, alleging their involvement in the assassination of Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. This accusation has not been taken lightly by India, which has vehemently denied any connection to Nijjar's death. In fact, India has turned the tables, urging Canada to take action against anti-India groups operating within its borders. But the accusations don't stop there. The epicenter of this diplomatic row revolves around the Khalistan movement, a Sikh independence initiative. India has accused Canada of providing refuge to Khalistani activists, a claim that further fuels the fire of this international contention. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has not been silent on the matter. In a strong statement, he called any foreign government involvement in the killing an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. These words echo across the globe, amplifying the tension between the two nations. In response to Trudeau's comments, India took a decisive stand, expelling a senior Canadian diplomat. The reason given was concerns over Canadian interference in India's internal affairs, a clear sign that India is not backing down in this escalating conflict. The reverberations of this diplomatic row are felt far beyond the borders of India and Canada. The international community watches with bated breath as these two nations navigate the choppy waters of accusations and expulsions. The question now is, where do we go from here? As the war of words escalates, the impact is felt not just within the borders of these nations, but across the international community. Is this a temporary blip in diplomatic relations or a sign of lasting discord? Only time will tell. As the dust settles and the world watches, what are the possible outcomes of this conflict, and what could it mean for the future of India-Canada relations? The aftermath of this conflict could play out in a myriad of ways. One possibility is an extended diplomatic impasse. With both nations standing their ground, the diplomatic row could drag on, straining relations and potentially impacting trade and cooperation between the two countries. On the other hand, there's the scenario of a diplomatic resolution. This involves both countries finding common ground, perhaps through third-party mediation, and resolving their differences peacefully. This could lead to a strengthening of bilateral relations, with both nations emerging with a deeper understanding and respect for each other's sovereignty. Another potential outcome could be a shift in international alliances. If the conflict escalates, it could force other nations to take sides, leading to a reshuffling of international relations. This could impact not only India and Canada, but also the global political landscape as a whole. As for the implications, they are equally far-reaching. If left unresolved, this conflict could tarnish the international standing of both nations. It could paint Canada as a country that harbors separatist movements, and India as a nation that violates foreign sovereignty. Either scenario could lead to international scrutiny and criticism, potentially affecting their global influence. However, if resolved amicably, this conflict could serve as a testament to the power of diplomacy and peaceful negotiation. It could enhance the international image of both India and Canada, showcasing their ability to handle complex issues in a mature and respectful manner. In the end, the ripple effects of this conflict could extend far beyond the borders of India and Canada. It could influence international relations, global politics, and the perception of nations on the world stage. As this conflict unfolds, it serves as a stark reminder of the intricate web of international politics, where a single spark can ignite a firestorm.